Hello, beautiful people of the internet. How are you doing today? My name is Jackie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is going to be the start of a new reading vlog. I meant to start this vlog already, but time has just really been getting away from me, to be honest. In this vlog, I'm going to be reading two historical mystery novels set in Regency, London. The reason I am doing this, in case you didn't know, is over the past 10-11 months, I have been hard at work on a historical mystery set in Regency, London myself. It's nicknamed Project Mayfair. I've been chronicling the experience and writing vlogs on my channel. However, now that I've gotten further along in the process, I'm getting to a point where I need to start thinking about comp titles for my book and also just becoming more aware of the other Regency historical mysteries that are out there, hence this vlog. I will be reading two Regency-set historical mysteries to see if they could potentially be comparable titles for my novel if it gets published, and secondly, just to familiarize myself more with the genre and the kinds of stories that are out there, because in order to be a good writer, you also have to do a lot of reading, especially a lot of reading in the genre you want to write. So, what are the books that I am going to be reading in this video? The first book I actually already started last night, and that is The Hanover Square Affair, the first Captain Lacey Regency mystery by Ashley Gardner. Ashley Gardner is another name for the author Jennifer Ashley, who also writes the Cat Holloway mysteries. Those books are on my TBR, but I have not read those yet. And the other book that I am planning to read is Murder on Black Swan Lane, the first Rexford and Sloane mystery by Andrea Penrose. I actually need to take this back to the library very soon, but the good news is I checked on my Libby app and they have an unlimited number of e-copies, which is good because on Wednesday I am flying to Philadelphia to stay with my dad before I fly to London on Friday, and I need to return this before I go, so I think I might need to use that ebook. So to dive into my initial thoughts about the Hanover Square Affair, I've been reading this as I started to lean my elbow on my desk and I didn't realize it wasn't close enough. I am reading this as an ebook on my phone because it's actually free on Kindle and you don't need a physical Kindle to read the ebook. You just need to download the Kindle app, and that's exactly what I did. I read, I think, 53 pages last night in the ebook, and so far I am enjoying this book. The main character of this series, Captain Gabriel Lacey, is a former military man. He served overseas in Portugal, and it's alluded to early on in the book that something happened between him and his old colonel in the military, who, funnily enough, his last name is Brandon, so his name is Colonel Brandon, like from Sense and Sensibility. That is taking me a hot minute to get over. I'm picturing 1990s Alan Rickman in my head. But there's been these veiled references to something happening between him and the colonel. They used to be very good friends, but then something happened between them and Brandon basically dismissed Lacey from his position, and this is something that Lacey has not been able to get over yet, despite the fact that the colonel's wife, Louisa, a very good friend of Captain Lacey's, has been trying to reconcile them for a long time. This all sounds very spoilery, but this has all happened in the first 50 pages, so I don't think it's really a spoiler. As for the mystery plot of this book, so what we find out in the very first chapter is that Captain Lacey is called to deal with a disturbance happening in Hanover Square, a very wealthy place to live in the Mayfair neighborhood of London. And there's this man there who claims that the man who lived at number 22 Hanover Square abducted his daughter. So Lacey starts investigating this case to figure out what happened to the daughter, whose name is Jane. She disappeared very mysteriously. However, he can't find any evidence concretely linking her to the man who lives at number 22. So far, I am liking this. I didn't know what to expect because I haven't really heard people review this book, and really, part of the reason that I picked it for this vlog is just because it was a free ebook, so I figured, what do I have to lose? But I am liking it so far, and I do see some similarities between this novel and the one that I am writing. So I'm interested to see where the story is going to go. I don't know if Captain Lacey and Louisa are meant to just be platonic friends. She is married, but I don't know. Like, I'm usually in these historical mystery series, the main character has a love interest, and very quickly it was established that she's a very important person in his life and they have a very close relationship. So that makes me wonder, like, is something gonna happen between the two of them? You know, will some tragic fate befall the Colonel, opening Louisa up to be with Captain Lacey? I don't know. Maybe they actually do just have a purely platonic relationship, but that's what I wondered pretty much from the first time Louisa appeared on the page. So we'll see. Those are my initial thoughts on the first Captain Lacey Regency mystery, and I will share more as this vlog goes on. I don't know if this vlog is going to be as formal as I originally intended it to be because, like I said, time has really gotten away from me. In 7 days, I'm going to London, so I need to read both of these books by then. Gotta hurry, I think. Hello. So I've been working on packing for my trip, and I just wanted to give a quick reading update about the Hanover Square affair. I have now reached the part where a murder happens, and this book has gotten dark. Like, darker than I was expecting, because the way this character was murdered, very violent and graphic in nature. So not exactly what I was expecting, and I don't know if it would be the best. Like I said, I think there are things that my book and this book have in common, but my book definitely does not go there in terms of violence. It addresses serious issues, but nobody is killed like the guy in this book was killed. Not for the faint of heart, let's just say that. Alright, so I finished reading The Hanover Square Affair by Ashley Gardner. I was gonna give it a 4. It might be more like a 3.5. I enjoyed it overall, but I wanted a little more from the mystery resolution. Do I think this would be a good comp title for my novel? I do think there were some things it had in common, but I think all in all, the grittier tone of this one, it would make it a bad comp title for my book because my book is not as dark as this one. My biggest complaint is I felt like there were subplots that didn't tie neatly into the main plot like I would have wanted. I like it where at the end of a mystery everything just, kind of fits together. And I mean, basically, so what I'm really talking about here is there was a subplot where Captain Lacey starts investigating the disappearance of another girl, believing it may tie into the main mystery he's trying to solve, and in the end we find out they have nothing to do with each other. So that storyline is resolved, but it does not tie back into the main plot, and that I really didn't like because I kind of just felt like, okay, this subplot could have just not been in the book yet if it wasn't going to be relevant to the main mystery. So maybe a 4, maybe a 3.5, I don't know. It was all in all enjoyable, but I just didn't really like the fact that the subplot wasn't relevant to the main storyline. I guess tonight I will start reading Murder on Black Swan Lane. I am probably going to have to return my physical copy and check out the ebook because I'm flying to Pennsylvania on Wednesday night and I need to go to the library before then. So I'm going to be a bit obnoxious here for a second. Like, I referenced the main character in my manuscript is a Bow Street runner, and Murder on Black Swan Lane makes multiple references saying a red waistcoat was the uniform of the Bow Street runners. My research told me this is actually a misconception and they just wore their everyday clothes. It was the Bow Street Horse Patrol who wore a red waistcoat and a blue coat, not the Bow Street runners, though a lot of articles claim they had to wear the red waistcoat. Other sources say that's incorrect. So I don't think that's true. In my unexpert opinion, that's a factual error. And I'll just say my guy is not wearing a scarlet waistcoat. I'm now on page 98, and he describes a character as looking like he belongs in a Botticelli painting. In my book, I describe a character as looking like he belongs in a Botticelli painting. Should I change that? I liked that descriptor, but now I'm like, shit. She used that too. People are gonna think I copied it from her. I swear I didn't. I came up with it myself. Damn it. So last night I read a little over 100 pages of Murder on Black Swan Lane, the first Rexford and Sloane mystery by Andrea Penrose. So far I am liking it, and I do think this could be a good comp title for my novel. There are just similarities in the premise of my novel and the premise of this one, plus they're both set in Regency London. The two main characters in this book are the Earl of Rexford and Charlotte Sloane. The Earl is sort of a gentleman scientist, and he had a noted rivalry with this man named Josiah Holworthy. Is that his last name? Josiah Holworthy, who was very critical of the Earl due to his interest in science. Holworthy was a reverend, and also Rexford's like bad boy, rakish ways. So when Holworthy turns up murdered, Rexford becomes an obvious suspect. He then ends up forming a unlikely partnership with Charlotte Sloane. She is a widow who, after her husband's death, has taken on his secret identity as London's most famous satirical artist, A.J. Quill. The Earl figures out that she is actually Quill and sort of forces her hand and gets her to help him prove his innocence. Obviously, I read 100 pages last night, so clearly I'm enjoying it. I do think the problem I have with this is the author is being very coy about Rexford and Sloane's pasts, and I totally get that. I mean, I do that too in my writing, but I feel like I don't know them as well as I would like to. I feel like the characters kind of just have a wall up, for lack of a better term, and I'm not getting to know them, getting to know their deepest thoughts and secrets in the way that I would like to. Like, I think they both have potential as characters, but I'm not extremely invested in them yet because there's so much I don't know about them. The characters also have a tendency to talk out loud to themselves, which is not like it's not my personal writing preference. I think it kind of reads a little more cinematic. I think in TV shows you see characters talk to themselves out loud a lot more than you see it in books. Like, I would have taken those lines and just kept them as internal narration, but that's me being very nitpicky. All in all, I think the story is interesting so far. It's been a quick read, and I do think this would work as a comp title for my book. I'll be interested to see how it goes, and hopefully I'll get to know the characters a little bit more. I am kind of pissed that she used the exact same comparison as me. And now I feel like I need to change mine because people are going to think I copied it from her. But I didn't plagiarize. I thought of it myself. And Andrea Penrose evidently thought of it herself too. And she published it first. So that was a great comparison that I think I have to scrap now because I can't use the same reference as her in the exact same context. God damn it. I hate this for me. Hello, hello, hello. So I'm here to wrap up this reading vlog. Last night while I was at the airport, I finished reading Murder on Black Swan Lane by Andrea Penrose. To be completely honest, I didn't think it was bad, but I was disappointed by it. I did have high expectations for this, and also because so many people told me how good it was, I was really hoping this was going to be a new favorite historical mystery series. And I think the first book, while it was not bad, just kind of missed the mark for me. I do think I wanted a little bit more from the two main characters, the Earl of Rexford and Charlotte Sloane. I liked the Earl well enough. I think Charlotte Sloane as a character, she was not really doing it for me. I don't dislike her, but she just felt kind of like your stilted stock historical mystery heroine in certain ways. I felt like she, as a character, needed more character flaws. Like, in my opinion, as I was reading it, I think she was this character that the author wanted me to admire as being very intelligent, breaking the gender norms of her day, yada, yada, yada. But because she didn't feel like a really flawed person, I wasn't able to really root for her as the heroine. And it was kind of annoying to me because there are times where she does very dangerous and reckless things, and the Earl tells her, this is really reckless and dangerous, you shouldn't do it. But even though he has a valid point, she just says to him, hey, you're patronizing me, and then he's the one who has to apologize, even though he also at the same time has a fair point. So I feel like it should have been handled differently, where the text should have treated it like, yes, there are things that he needs to learn and there are things she needs to learn too. And I don't feel like that's really how I interpreted the author's intention. There were also parts where she dresses up like a man to go around London and do her sneaky sleuthing thing. And honestly, like, I personally am just getting a little tired of the strong female character dressing up in men's clothing and talking about how feminine clothing is so oppressive. Like, there was a passing comment disparaging, all those feminine frills, and I'm just sick of it at this point. I think it's totally valid to write female characters who are not traditionally feminine, but I'm getting sick of all these disparaging comments about traditional femininity because there's nothing innately wrong with that, and you can still be a very feminine woman and still be a strong person. This whole, not like other girls thing, I'm just really sick of it. So the part where she was wearing men's breeches, I just rolled my eyes to the high heavens. This is a trope that I am in particular just really dislike. Like, she can be strong and also enjoy wearing dresses, okay? It just wasn't as amazing as I was hoping. The mystery, I did guess whodunit, and I thought it was slightly odd that the identity of the murderer is basically revealed with still like 20% of the book left, so there wasn't really that shocking, like, oh my god, like, confrontation moment. That was just a little different from how you usually see these books structured. All in all, I think I'll give it 3 stars. I didn't actively dislike it, but I had problems with it, and I really wanted to love this one. I thought that I was going to really enjoy it, so the fact that I didn't was really a crushing disappointment. Will I continue reading this series? I don't know. I would be open to giving it another chance, but if I'm being honest, I don't think reading the sequel is going to be at the top of my priority list. I will say I do think this still could be a good comp title for my novel because there are just very clear similarities between them in certain aspects, and I do think people who like this might also like the book that I'm writing, though they are slightly different tonally. I think this book did go a little darker and more serious than my book does. My book does have its serious and dark moments, but I think this book
maybe on a scale of cozy to hard-boiled, I think both books you would probably classify as being in the soft-boiled middle area, but mine would be veering more slightly towards cozy, and this one would be veering slightly more towards hard-boiled. Not to say that mine is cozy and this one is hard-boiled, just like if it's a sliding scale, mine's here and this one's here, if that makes sense. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. I post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday. My social media links are in the description if you want to follow me on Tumblr, Instagram, or be my friend on Goodreads. Let me know, do you have any Regency era mystery recs? Leave them in the comments down below if you do. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a dazzling rest of your day. Bye, and I'll see you next time.